Hi, everyone, and a warm welcome to TCO Development's event Together Towards Sustainable IT. Today, we come together to share insights, spark inspiration, and drive forward our main mission, a sustainable IT industry. Imagine a world where every tech choice is sustainable, where products are made to last, easy to repair, and free of harmful substances. That's our vision. And the numbers are compelling. Each year, we produce mountains of e-waste, over 100 times the weight of all children born during that same period, and yet only a fraction of these products are recycled responsibly. And meanwhile, more than 350,000 chemicals are in global circulation, with most of them lacking full risk assessment, underscoring the urgent need for safer, more responsible manufacturing. And by choosing certified products and sustainable options, we're not just making a small change, we're fueling a global movement towards an accountable and fair tech industry that respects both people and our planet. So thank you for joining us on this journey, and let's make a huge impact together. But so who am I? I'm Paulina Modlitba. I have the huge honor of being the host here today. I'm a born and raised tech nerd with degrees from both KTH in Stockholm and MIT Media Lab. And my passion in everything that I do lies in making the societal and human benefits of technology and innovation more clear and tangible in different ways. And AI, of course, being the most promising but also the most complex technological innovation of our time, is at the core of that work. AI can help us solve many of society's big challenges, but if done wrong, it can also contribute to them and even make them worse. And sustainability is one of those areas where we have to be careful and do AI development right. The footprint and climate impact of AI is already huge, and it is only getting bigger. And that's something that we in the industry have to address urgently together. And that's why I'm particularly happy to be the host of today's event that has sustainable IT and collaboration as its main mission. But now over to Andreas Nobel for a short introduction.
At TCO Certified, we believe that sustainability must be at the heart of everything we do in the IT industry. We know that IT products can be designed, manufactured, and used with minimal impact on both people and the planet. But achieving this does not happen by accident. It requires collective effort, dedication, and a shared understanding of what sustainable IT truly looks like. For over 30 years now, we have been working globally with buyers, brands, and manufacturers to build a system that encourages real, lasting change. With every generation of TCO Certified, we have raised the bar, and Generation 10 is no exception. Our certification, it creates a level playing field where sustainability is not just a buzzword, it is a business advantage. Because brands that commit to sustainable practices, they gain trust and market leadership, while buyers are empowered to make choices that drive better outcomes for both the environment and society. But why is this work so important today? Well, as the world grapples with crises like climate change and resource depletion, the IT sector plays a crucial role. Electronic products, they are central to our modern world, but they come with significant costs, from greenhouse gas emissions during production to hazardous waste at the end of life. Through TCO Certified, we work to minimize these impacts by focusing on 4 key areas: climate, substances, circularity, and supply chains. Our goal is not just to talk about sustainability, but to take action. Together with our global partners, we are proving that the IT industry can reduce its carbon footprint, eliminate harmful chemicals, extend the life of products, and ensure fair working conditions throughout the supply chain. This is the power of TCO Certified, a commitment to measurable, verifiable, and continuous improvement. With the launch of Generation 10 and our updated roadmap for sustainable IT, we are proud to introduce the most comprehensive set of criteria yet, designed to meet the challenges of our time. So, join the movement for sustainable IT with TCO Certified. Together, we are shaping a future where responsible choices lead to real positive change.
Thank you, Andreas Donvell, for that introduction. And now we're joined here in the studio by two of your colleagues, Stephen, also called Steve Fuller, Niklas Rydell, and you're here to help me paint the picture of what we're going to cover in this event. And but to begin with, I would like to congratulate you, of course, of the external launch of the roadmap for sustainable IT, but also the criteria for the new generation of TCO certified. So well done.
Thank you.
I guess you're proud.
Yeah,
Feels
absolutely.
good.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes. So let's start with you, Niklas. Can you tell us a little bit, sort of, the overall picture of the roadmap for sustainable IT?
Yeah. It's a like a long-term plan for TISO certified and what we do, basically driving sustainable IT, and we are making it public now. We've had it for a lot of time, but now we want to share it with our stakeholders so that they can prepare for our ambitious progress of this. And you can find it on our website, where you can go in and see what our coming criteria will be and what kind of areas we are focusing on.
Exactly. So for anyone watching, the website is the place to be if you want more information about anything that we talk about here today. Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, Andreas, could you explain sort of the relationship, the connection between the development of the new generation of TCO certified and the roadmap?
Yeah, sure. But first, I just want to thank all of you stakeholders out there that been part of the process and, making this generation and the roadmap a success. So big thanks. And the extended team that's not with us here on stage. But getting back to your question, as Niklas mentioned, the roadmap is sort of the long-term planning that we're doing, and the generations are just, one point in time where we're looking at, right, what do we need to do now to take the next step towards these long-term ambitious goals? So that's how we should look upon this.
Yeah. And Steve, your global system for IT sustainability, of course, has a proven track record of success. Can you mention some milestones?
Yeah. Well, I think having a proven track record over 30 years really helps our work when we're developing new pioneering criteria. If I'm to lift 2 points that I work closely with, that is the chemical management side, where we have taken control over a system that is, I believe, very out of control when it comes to chemical safety, and also our supply chain responsibility criteria. There we are now impacting hundreds of thousands of workers and improving their working environment.
Yeah. Niklas, I'm very fond of processes because they've proven to be sort of an important part of pushing long-term change. So can you tell us a little bit about your processes and how you make sure that you actually work with sustainability where it matters the most?
Yeah, that is an important aspect, actually, and we are constantly collecting sustainability challenges for IT products. We have a list of more than 100 points, and for every new generation we launch, we look through this list, and we have evaluated each of these challenges based on several criteria, and then we pick the most important ones for new generations of TISO certified, and we take away some criteria that we think have finished and that is not needed anymore. So it's a scientific process in doing this and gradually pushing to the next level.
Great to hear. Andreas, we're just about to dive deeper into the 4 areas: climate, substances, circularity, and supply chain.
Yeah.
But first, why did you choose these 4 areas?
Yeah, so looking back at our work that we've been doing for over 30 years now within the organization, it became quite obvious for us when we started mapping out all the challenges, which buckets they should go into, and they became, the four that you just mentioned. So it's been a part of us for over 30 years. So that's why, basically.
Yeah. Thank you all three. And now it's time for us to dive deeper into the first area, which is climate. So Niklas, what would you say are the biggest climate challenges for IT products?
Yeah, the climate impact for an IT product is divided into two scopes, so scope 2 and scope 3. And scope 2 is the energy consumption during use phase of the IT product. And scope 3 is the manufacturing and end of life. And the manufacturing phase has the biggest impact. It's about 80% of the total product carbon footprint for a notebook computer. So very big impact.
And normally organizations, they focus on product carbon footprint to reduce the climate impact of the products that they buy. Would you say that that's a good approach?
Well, there are some challenges with that. One big challenge is that most product carbon footprint reports are calculated on a typical product configuration. For notebooks, they can be configured in maybe 1,000 or more configurations depending on how you pick your hardware. So the product you purchase is normally not the one that you get the product carbon footprint report for. It can differ quite a lot. Another challenge is that the calculation methods that you use impact the result a lot. So if you change calculation method or make different assumptions, you can get a very different result. So you cannot really compare products that have been calculated to different methodologies. And then when you do improvements in your manufacturing to reduce your product carbon footprint, most of these calculation methods do not take this into consideration. So there are not really so much incentives to do these improvements in the current way to work with it. And the problem with that is that it becomes sometimes misleading and counterproductive to work in this way. So that's why we have tried to solve this in a different way with TC Certify.
Yeah, and that way, the solution to these problems that you just mentioned is the annualized product carbon footprint. Tell us about how does it actually work?
Yeah, exactly. So the annualized product carbon footprint takes the lifetime into consideration of the product because of course, the climate footprint of the manufacturing has a big impact, so we want that to happen as seldom as possible. So we want people to use their products for a long time. So then we want to incentivize the industry to design products that can last long, and we want purchasers to use the products really much longer, and that's what annualized product carbon footprint is about. It showcases this and it incentivizes these behaviors.
Yeah. So now I totally understand how this actually incentivizes longer product use, but how do you address the climate impact that the actual manufacturing has?
Yeah. I agree. I mean, the prolonging the lifetime is the most important thing, but of course, we want to work also with the footprint of the manufacturing, and there the knowledge and experience is really different in the industry. Some brand owners have a lot of knowledge about this, and some less. And we want to incentivize knowledge sharing and implementation of these best practices. So we have included criteria in TC Certified where we create these incentives. So we make brand owners with a lot of knowledge share their best practice activities on a list, and then everyone can pick activities from this list, and if they implement them for certified product, they get some benefits of that.
I love that. It really ties into driving change together and sharing knowledge as part of that.
Yeah, it's a really unique approach, and it's really efficient, we hope.
Great. Thank you, Niklas.
Thank you.
Now it's time for us to move over to substances. So, Steve, we're here to talk about toxic substances in the IT industry. What would you say are the most sort of important risks associated with this that we have to understand?
Yes. So the risk with a chemical is its ability to do harm, both environmentally and to human health. We see that they are persistent and thereby accumulate. Generally, another problem is with the number of chemicals that are available on the market. I think the last count is around about 350,000 chemicals, unique chemicals are available for use. And most of those have not been assessed for their environmental and human health impact. So I consider the big risk is that we can rely too much on regulations to take care of these chemicals and keep the harm from us. But this is unfortunately not the case, which is why we see that restricted substance lists aren't working correctly.
Yeah, and so the old model is a more reactive one, but you've looked at a more unique sort of proactive solution. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the restricted substance list not working is part of the problem that they're just being replaced by equally hazardous or potentially hazardous. What we saw was the better alternative was to treat a chemical as hazardous until it was proven safer. And that's why we started the TCO certified accepted substance list.
And tell us a little bit more about it. So obviously it's unique, it's new, but what exactly makes it unique?
Yeah, what makes it really unique is that it restricts every substance, every viable substance that is viable for a particular performance or application in a product. It restricts everything until that chemical is proven to be safer both for environmentally and human health.
And what would you say, what is the sort of large-scale scope of this? What impact does the list have on the industry as a whole when it comes to chemistry safety?
Yeah, I'm very happy to see sort of the impact that it's having. I'm seeing that it's being referred to. We make it public so that it can be applied to products outside of the ones we certify today. I can see that these kind of chemicals that we are using could be applied to televisions or freezers or any kind of electrical product, because we're focusing on printed circuit boards, we're focusing on enclosures and cables.
Yeah. Have you seen any concrete example outside of the industry of the list having impact on them?
Yeah, fortunately, I've seen some states in America are referring to, and they are managing to restrict flame retardants, halogenated flame retardants, based on the fact that TCO certified accepted substance list has shown that there are a lot of viable, safer alternatives. So that's why they can restrict whole groups of chemicals.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
So thank you, Steve, for sharing all your knowledge. And now let's move over to circularity. So, Andreas, we're here to talk about circularity. Can we start with sort of painting the picture of how TCO Certified works with making the IT industry more circular and IT products more circular?
Sure. So we work in two different ways. One is to spread knowledge about circularity, and we do that through a network called the Circular Electronics Initiative, where a lot of different member organizations share best practices on how to drive circularity forward. And the other thing is, of course, our criteria document and the criteria within it. So we have a whole chapter called Product Lifetime Extension, and within that, you will find a lot of different criteria that just strive towards driving circularity forward.
Yeah. And so tell us, for those of us who are sort of new to the criteria and how they work, how do they actually encourage IT brands and manufacturers to adopt these practices?
So for the brand owners, it's pretty straightforward. Since we do not have any optional criteria, all of our criteria are mandatory. It sort of creates this level playing field for the industry to work with circularity. So everyone is doing it on the same, basis. So then it becomes, naturally ingrained into their businesses to do it.
Yeah. And what about the buyer's role in this ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, for the buyers, we are providing them with products that will last longer, so it will be easier for them to plan for longer use. But for you buyers out there, you must also use the products for longer. So that's your thing to do going forward, to plan, internally for a longer use time for the products.
Yeah. And speaking about that, how do you actually support organizations in understanding which IT products are easier to maintain, repair, and align with your circularity goals?
So that's also, we do it now in generation with two new things. So one is to introduce a repairability index. This is something that some are already familiar with, the French repairability index, or the thing that is now going to be included with the EU energy label. But what's different from our perspective is that we actually have independent verification of these claims. So instead of the brand owners just reporting, this is how repairable this product is, we actually have independent verification. So now the brand owners can trust this figure to a much higher extent. The second thing we're doing is that we're including something we call a unique product identifier with Generation 10. And this will sort of lay the foundation for the future of digital product passports.
So tell us about those passports. How does it work?
Yeah, so a digital product passport, you can look at it as a digital twin of a product. And this digital twin will include a lot of information about the product. It could be, the materials, the components, but it can also be information that helps the user to keep their products for longer, like repair guides, where to find accessories or spare parts. So in turn, this will help close the loop that we're used to talk about when we're talking about circularity, as to really, drive circularity forward.
Longevity, TCO Certified has set new standards, new goals, ambitious goals for product longevity. So aiming for IT products to have a minimum of 5 years of use time with a target of 10 years by 2033. How do these standards contribute to the goals that you mentioned?
Yeah, so with Generation 10, we've set, as you mentioned, a 5-year limit. So that means, there needs to be software updates for at least 5 years. And the brand owners need to provide warranties for up to 5 years. And this, in turn, will drive product design to be more circular because, we will prolong the use time of the products. And as you said, the ambition is to drive this up to 10 years. And when we start doing this, we will start closing the circularity loops and thus drive towards this more sustainable future.
Pretty impressive. I'm so much looking forward to following this development. So thank you so much, Andreas.
Yeah, thank
you. And now it's time for us to dive deeper into supply chain. So Steve, we're here to talk about the supply chain's role in the ecosystem. How would you say that TCO certifies make sure that both the human and the environmental aspects are considered within supply chain assessment?
Yes. So seeming as most of the production has moved to low-wage countries where these local authorities don't enforce their own laws, we make the brand owner responsible for the supply chain. So we work very closely with the brand owner to improve their engagement and their support towards suppliers by meeting up and interviewing them and seeing what they're doing when it comes to supporting suppliers. And then we share the best practices amongst the different suppliers that haven't come as far. Also, we use tools that are available like independent auditing, where we have an independent auditor enter the final assembly factories on an annual basis to check that compliance is fulfilled and maintained.
From the outside, it's almost impossible to understand how you can sort of go about this, considering how big and complex many of the supply chains are. So what would you say are the main challenges here?
Yeah, so we've overcome quite a few of the challenges from the beginning over the 14 years that we've been working with social responsibility. But I would say that the main challenge that the brand owners tell us is, their leverage over these big suppliers, that they feel that they don't have enough to say and to get them to improve. So what we decided to do then was start what we call the TCO Certified Accepted Factory List, where we can bring brand owners to use the same factories within the supply chain and so increase leverage over these suppliers.
And can you tell us a little bit more about how that list works and the fact that it actually creates incentives both for brands and factories?
Yeah, so if I think back to how it started, was the management at some of those factories telling us that if they implement these improvements, then they would lose workers or they would lose business to their competitors that didn't do the same thing. So the factory list came from to give the incentive to make improvements, and in that way keep business, keep the business from the clients, but also. What it does is bring brand owners to use the same supplier so that we can increase that leverage
And in the latest update of the TCO certified criteria, you actually expanded the approach to include more suppliers. Why did you expand it, and in what way?
Yeah, so we want to obviously expand further up the supply chain. After working so many years with the final assembly factories, we feel that we're now in a position to be able to do that. So we've started to include the next tier suppliers, which we are starting with the display panel factories, where we are demanding the same level of compliance as we do with the final assembly factories. And that means annual auditing, safer process chemicals to be used, and also certain management system standards that have to be fulfilled.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
And now it's time for us to wrap up and summarize the 4 areas. So now we covered the 4 focus areas, and we're gathered here again in the studio to summarize the most important insights. And obviously there are thousands of updates and changes that have been made. We haven't been able to cover them all, but what would you say, what are you most proud of in the new generation?
Yeah, I think this is great because we've addressed a lot of existing challenges in society with new, unique approaches, and we have unique abilities with our system TISO certified. So it will be really exciting to see how this works. And for climate, for circularity, a lot of different good ideas we've introduced now that can be used.
Yeah. Andreas?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see, been working with the roadmap for sustainable IT for so long, but being able to, release it out to the public and, see how we can get traction towards the long-term goals that we set, but also reflecting back, in 2017, we took the first steps towards the unique product identifier criteria that is sort of laying the foundation for the digital products passport. I'm so proud to see that, we did it. Now it's in TCO certified, and now we're actually driving this change toward more circularity.
And from the outside, it's super interesting to hear how long-term these projects are.
Yeah.
I mean, 2017 is how many years?
7.
Yes.
This is the benefit of working at a non-profit organization.
Yeah.
Long term.
True that. And
Yeah.
Steve, what are you proud of?
Well, it comes, like Andreas said, working with projects for such a long time, and then you start to see how it sort of like starts to develop and build. And I think where we're at the moment now, when we start to expand and to include more workers in the supply chain and making their working environment much safer when it comes to chemicals and what they're exposed to, and giving them the rights, it's really rewarding to get to this position. And and we're showing the world basically what's possible with sustainability IT, and we continue to do that every 3 years.
Yeah.
It's great.
And we've mentioned several times that this is a team effort. These huge challenges require collaboration.
Yeah.
So for those who are listening now and want to be part of this journey and join the movement, where should they start?
I mean, you should get in contact with us that you've seen here during the event, but also we have a lot of awesome colleagues that we're working with on a day-to-day basis, and you can find all of them on our website.
And Niklas, I know that you have one more thing that you would like to announce and share. What is that?
Yeah, I mean, we've certified certain product groups for 30 years now, and now finally we are opening up TC certified for basically any ID product out there. We will do some evaluation when we get proposals for new ID products, but it's designed so it can certify any type of ID product. So now it's really up to purchasers to look at what they are purchasing and start to set requirements on their suppliers. And this is really exciting because it can create a lot of change.
And speaking of that, what more specifically will this mean for decision makers within the IT industry and with IT purchasing?
Yeah, we've got a lot of requests and for using TISO certified on more than just displays and notebooks and those products we have today, and now we are enabling that. We are creating this one-stop shopping where you can have a complete package of TISO certified in your office, basically, and yeah, we are really excited to see what that will bring. Yeah.
And what does it mean from a sustainability point of view?
Yeah, I mean, it creates more of a holistic approach to sustainability since now you can target all different product categories as a buyer or a purchaser, and not just the ones that we've so far been offering through our product-specific criteria documents. So I think that is awesome. Now there's really one tool that can drive sustainability on a broad scale.
Any last words for the people who are listening?
I mean, big thank you for listening. And if you're a purchaser, remember to join the movement and ask for TCO Certified when you're purchasing new IT products. I mean, it is together. That's how we create this change. And that's how you send a signal to the industry to actually want to change.
Thank you again, all three, for joining me here. And now it's time for us to meet our purchasing experts. So now we're being joined by Claire Hobby and Barton Finn to talk about the symbiosis and collaboration part of this. How can we create change together? So welcome, Claire and Barton.
Yes.
So as you've heard, there are a lot of new developments within these 4 areas covered by TCO Certified. What does this mean in practice for purchasing organizations?
We're really excited to share this new generation with the purchasing community today, because when purchasers ask for TCO certified, that's what sets the whole system in motion. And we know these days every organisation has to think about sustainability when they're buying and using their IT. So it's no longer optional, and greenwash isn't acceptable either. So when you think about it, every organisation needs a tool and certifications that they can trust, that are proven to work, that are science-based, and both at the product level and in that supply chain. So it's essential that these criteria we're talking about today meet that moment, and that's what this generation is really all about.
And Barton?
Yeah, I would build on what Claire has said, and to me, the most important thing that is relevant mentioning here is that organizations will continue to be able to rely on TCO Certified as a tool that they can integrate in their tenders in order to drive improvements from a sustainability perspective of their ICT systems. And I see that at the procurement level, thanks to all the new requirements that we have introduced. And I can take the example of climate, for example, with the issue of product carbon footprint. We have seen that with the new requirements of TCO Certified, purchasing organization will have the opportunity to act and influence in a positive way on their Scope 3 emissions, but also at the IT management level, because I'm thinking here in particular about the new SPIs that we have introduced in Generation 10, TCO Certified Generation 10, which basically will strengthen the capacity for organizations to drive sustainability pre-procurement, but also post-procurement. And here we can take the example of circularity, for example, because with TCO Certified Generation 10, organizations will get new data regarding the repairability score of their devices, the number of years for which software updates will remain available, and all of that are relevant from a sustainable IT management perspective when it comes to product decision or sustainability reporting.
And so now we talked about the sort of overall aspects, but what more specifically do the organizations need to know and understand to use the new criteria?
Yeah, here we wanted to make it as simple as possible. So the message here is for organizations to continue to use TCO Certified, as most of them have been doing so far, meaning to ask for product certified according to TCO Certified, but without having to mention a specific generation number. So only ask for products that are certified according to TCO Certified is the way to go. And there are multiple reasons to that, but I would only mention 2 right now. First is that, of course, what is the most important, and I think that that's what we also made clear during this presentation, is that it's the framework, it's the journey towards our long-term plans. So the most important is to push the industry to on board and to join this framework, irrespective of a specific generation. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is that we're just in the beginning of the launch of TCO Certified Generation 10, and we know that it can still take a bit of time for the industry to certify their products. So out of these 2 reasons, the good way and the right way to go is to ask for product certified according to TCO Certified. That's it.
Yeah, and mentioning that, so let's get straight to the point here. We already covered a lot of upsides with this, but what are the impacts and the results of when organizations actually ask for certified products?
Yeah, if there's one thing I could communicate to IT purchasing organizations is that your voice matters. Your voice matters. And when you use TCO certified, you're making your voice part of a large aggregated global signal to the IT industry. You're joining with a bunch of other organizations that also think sustainability is important and asking for these same criteria and same verification methods. And what happens then is that we're giving a sense of clarity to the IT industry about what we're asking them to do. And so we're helping those changes happen at scale. So it really has a very direct impact on things like circular design, safer material choices, and really protecting those supply chains for workers and the environment as well.
Anything you want to add, Barton?
Yeah, I would just like to insist on what Claire mentioned, the fact that, and from my perspective, out of my discussions with purchasing organizations, it's true that sometimes it may sound a bit administrative to ask and require TCO certified, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to putting words on a sheet of paper to ask suppliers to deliver product certified according to TCO certified. But I would like to insist that this is really driving and steering material, concrete, and real sustainability outcomes when it comes to the IT industry. Because by doing that, this is really what gives life to the TCO certified framework that we have just presented. So maybe I would like to take a couple seconds here to thank and to recognize the efforts and the work that has been done by purchasing organizations that are committed and that have been integrating TCO certified in their ICT procurement processes. Because at the end of the day, all of our achievements are also theirs. So I'm looking forward to continue and building on such momentum.
Great words to end with. So thank you, Claire and Barton, for joining me and making the role of the purchaser in building a more sustainable IT industry a lot more clear. Thank you. And now let's move over to the next segment.
For over a decade, the Green Screen program has empowered organizations to make informed decisions about chemicals, prioritizing safety for people and the planet. In the partnership with TCO Certified, we've applied this framework to address a significant challenge, eliminating hazardous substances in IT products while ensuring high performance. Together, we've done something very exciting in the field of chemical safety. Flame retardants and other chemical classes used in TCO certified products must be included on the TCO certified accepted substances list, which requires independent evaluation, such as achieving Green Screen Benchmark 2 or higher, to ensure these chemicals meet strict criteria. This ensures that certified products reduce the risk of harm to workers, consumers, and the environment, while aligning with sustainability goals. This collaboration showcases the power of science-driven solutions in driving industry transformation. It also demonstrates that safer chemicals and innovative IT design can go hand in hand. Now, I'm very excited about the future. The collaboration between Green Screen and TCO Certified can redefine sustainability in the IT sector. And by continuing to innovate and expand our shared commitment to safer chemicals, we can inspire industries worldwide to adopt practices that prioritize human health and the environment. Together, we're proving that sustainable progress is not only possible, but transformative.
So now I'm back in the studio and I'm joined by Søren Enholm, CEO of TCO Development, and Gabriella Mellstrand, Global Head of External Affairs. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How does it feel? You must be super excited.
Yes, we are. Launching a new generation is always something big for us, but this year feels even greater for several reasons. And the fact is we have been working with the IT industry and buyers worldwide for a long time, more than 30 years now. And every third year we have updated criteria to push sustainability where it matters most. And with this new generation, we are taking critical next step in line with our ambitious roadmap. And by making the roadmap public today, we hope that we are going to work even better together as the pathway is going to be much clearer now, and towards more sustainable IT products and a circular future for IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Søren, as Gabriella said, the standards are high, higher than ever, probably. Is it even possible to meet the criteria?
Yeah, so purchasers around the world are using TCO certified as a requirement in their purchasing, and this is only possible if there are certified products on the market. So we always have to find a good balance between driving sustainability and that the criteria are achievable for the industry. And we, of course, also had long dialogues about the new criteria with the brands and the manufacturers. And as we shall see soon, there are already certified products according to the new criteria from a couple of brands.
I'm looking forward to that. But what do you think is the important success factors of TCO development and TCO certified from a CEO's point of view?
Yeah, so from my point of view, really the verification system built into TCO certified is the most important, and this is also unique for TCO certified. So all criteria are verified for a product model before it's certified, and we actually put more than 20,000 hours per year into verification of products and their manufacturing. This is twice as much as we put into criteria development. So this is also important for the purchasers to feel comfortable with using TCO certified in their purchasing.
And Gabriella, just to make this a little bit more hands-on and for beginners who are just about to look into this, how do I know if a product is certified, and where do I find certified products?
Yeah. So firstly, thanks to all of the organizations worldwide asking for TCO certified in procurement, every year there are 100 million certified products placed on the market. And if you're interested in which ones, with product categories or models, on our website, we have the product finder where you can search for certified products. And at the moment, there are more than 3,000 certified products and models, but it's updated all the time. And you can also search for the latest generation and from well-known brand, and it's also going to be updated from this day. Yeah.
So pretty straightforward. Yes. And as Søren already hinted, it's now time for us to announce the very first certified products according to the criteria of the new generation of TCO certified.
I'm proud to share ASUS's commitment to sustainability through TCO Generation 10 standards in our commercial computers, and work toward a future that is always sustainable, always incredible. Thank you.
At Dell Technologies, sustainability is a cornerstone of our business. Starting December 2024, majority of Dell monitors will meet the latest TCO certified Generation 10 standard. We are focused on promoting a circular economy and tackling climate change, ensuring better outcomes for our customers.
Hello, ASO is proud to announce that our products are among the first in the world to achieve the latest TCO certified Generation 10. Since 1992, ASO has consistently met the increasingly strict criteria of each generation of TCO certified. This highlights our enduring and ongoing commitment to a sustainable society.
At HP, we're committed to meeting the growing demand for sustainable products. TCO is a trusted global eco-label that gives above and beyond industry standards, empowering us to make meaningful progress in sustainable development and consistently deliver the environmental performance for our customers.
Hello, I'm Kevin Young, Technical Product and Product Compliance Lead at AOC and Philips MMD. We want to thank TCO Development in launching the new TCO Certified Generation 10. This important milestone helps us to bring more sustainable products onto the market and empowers our customers to make the right choices. We want to continue working with TCO Development in delivering products that are better for the people and for the planet. Thank you for leading the way.
Hi, Lenovo is truly committed to sustainability, and we have decided to align our products with eco-label standards such as TCO Certified, ensuring the product meets rigorous sustainability criteria. This commitment is an important part of Lenovo's broader ESG initiatives.
At Samsung, we are very happy to have many of our products TCO certified. We see an increasing demand and interest in sustainability within our stakeholders, and having products TCO certified helps us to meet these demands. We look very much forward to continuing our collaboration with TCO certified.
Wow, I'm so impressed by the fact that there are already certified products from these well-known brands. So a huge congrats to you, especially since I know that it is a team effort, a lot of people involved. You must be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Søren?
Yes, definitely so. A big thank you to all the brands and manufacturers for all your hard work, and today especially those of you who have accomplished to get the first product certified according to the new generation. Also a special thank you to all the verification organization for all your verification work. And not the least, a special thank you to all the purchasers around the world using TCO Certified as a requirement. If it wasn't for all these requirements, TCO Certified would not exist. So sustainability is really a team effort, and when we work together, we can make real change happen faster.
Thank you, Søren and Gabriella, and thank you for watching. And if you would like to learn more after this event, check out tcocertified.com, and there you'll be able to find the roadmap that we mentioned several times, and the product finder with all certified products, and a lot more information. And TCO Development will talk more about its focus area during the upcoming year. Thank you for watching.
Le secteur informatique est complexe, tout comme les nombreuses problématiques de durabilité qui lui sont associées. Adopter une approche globale est donc essentiel pour soutenir des progrès sur le plan environnemental et social.
Необхідно враховувати всі ключові аспекти – зміну клімату, циркулярність, небезпечні речовини та відповідальність в ланцюгах поставок. Все взаємопов'язано.
Låt mig ge ett exempel. Plaster får sina egenskaper av att man tillsätter olika ämnen. Av dessa ämnen som tillsätts i elektronik idag är en del av dessa skadliga för människor och miljö. Genom att ersätta dessa ämnen med mindre farliga ämnen så minskar vi påverkan på miljön, men vi gör det också möjligt att återvinna material, plastmaterialet, och bidrar därmed till en cirkulär ekonomi.
Durch die längere Nutzung von Geräten reduzieren wir Elektroschrott und Greenhausgasemissionen. TCO-zertifizierte Geräte ermöglichen das.
Durante más de 30 años hemos desarrollado un sistema que impulsa cambios significativos y duraderos hacia una mayor sostenibilità de los equipos informáticos. TCO Certified affronta i grandi temi della sostenibilità associati al ciclo di vita dei prodotti informatici con un approccio sistemico per assicurare miglioramenti verificabili e basati sulla scienza.
我们对于未来有远大的目标，而对于如何实现这些目标，我们也有与 Roadmap 相关的详细计划。当你在采购需求中提到 TCO Certified 时，你也已经成为启动计划的一份子。
Sustainability is a team effort, so collaboration is critical. When we work together, change will happen.
So join us on this journey. Together, we can do amazing things.